All right, Pythagorean theorem story problems. The slide at the playground has a height of 6 feet. The base of the slide measured on the ground is 8 feet. What is the length of the sliding board? The first thing that you must do to solve problems like this is to draw a picture. So we're going to draw, here's the sliding board, the slide. Here's where it's touching the ground, and then we probably have a ladder that you're going to climb up this way. All right, so let's go back through and read it again and find the important information. The slide at the playground has a height of 6 feet. So this is 6 feet. That's how high you climb to get to the top of the slide. The base of the slide measured on the ground is 8 feet. So that's a really big clue that it says it's on the ground. So this is 8 feet. And it says, what is the length of the sliding board? So the length of the sliding board is this part right here, the slide, and we're going to call that x. So we're assuming that this makes a right angle with the ground, and so there's our right triangle. And we can solve this using the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the first thing you do after you set this picture up is decide, where's my hypotenuse? Because the hypotenuse always has to be c, and that's going to be x. So this is c, and then the two legs, a and b, would be the 6 feet and 8 feet. So we're going to put all of that into the equation. 6 squared plus 8 squared equals x squared. Or you could still call it c if you want to, just as long as you have a variable. All right, so 6 squared is 6 times 6, that's 36. 8 squared is 8 times 8, so that's 64. And on this side, we still just have x squared. So we did the powers first, and then we add them together. 36 and 64 add up to 100. And this is still equal to x squared. So this number squared is 100. 100 would definitely be too long for a slide. 100 feet would be a long way. So we have to remember on this last step to take the square root. That's how we get the squared off of the x. So 10 is x. And then for our final answer, we want to label. If this is 6 feet and that's 8 feet, then that means that this is 10 feet. So 10 feet is my final answer. I've labeled it. It's important to put feet on there. We don't want it to be miles. We don't want it to be centimeters. None of those would make sense for a slide. It is 10 feet. All right, let's look at number 2. The bottom of a 13-foot straight ladder is set into the ground 5 feet away from a wall. When the top of the ladder is leaned against the wall, what is the distance above the ground it will reach? So let's go back through this and read it again and draw our picture. So the bottom of a 13-foot straight ladder is set into the ground 5 feet away from a wall. So here we're going to have to draw a wall, we're going to have to draw the ground, and then we have a ladder leaning against the wall. So this sloped line, it's going to be the 13 feet for the ladder. If you want to actually make this look like a ladder, you could draw this a little bit nicer. And we're assuming that the wall and the ground make a right angle. Now it says set into the ground 5 feet away from the wall. Now it's important that they're saying into the ground 5 feet away from the wall. So here's where it's set into the ground 5 feet from the wall. So they're looking for this distance down here is 5 feet. And when the top of the ladder is leaned against the wall, what is the distance above the ground it will reach? So that is really our question that we're looking for. So we're going to call that x. All right, so using the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we need to locate which one of these numbers is the hypotenuse for c. And that would be the 13. It's across from the right angle, and it's the longest side. So this would be the a and b. So we'll have x squared plus 5 squared equals 13 squared. We want to go through and do those powers first. So 5 squared is 5 times 5, which is 25. Sorry about that. 13 squared is 13 times 13, which is 169. So then if we solve for just the x squared piece, we would have to subtract 25 off both sides, and that just gets the x squared by itself. We need that before we can square root. So we get 144 Remember, this is still x squared. That's definitely not 144 feet up if I have a 13-foot ladder reaching there. So we do have to square root both sides, and that gives us 12. So it's 5 feet and 13 feet. That means this distance right here is 12 feet. So I'm going to write that down as my final answer.